Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Doing Our Best. Say hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
As you can see, we have a full house this evening. Every player here, every person present. That came out a lot better than intended. Um, we are experiencing a little technical difficulties with Roll20 at the moment, so we ask you to be a little patient. Hopefully the servers will get back online. um, this is technically our second episode, but I'm also calling it a 0.75 kind of, letting everyone get more of a feel for how everyone is in the game. So we're going to go around the horn and once again do introductions. I am Oscar, your DM. I will be the one who will be being the voice of gods, many of them, throughout the course of this campaign. But a campaign is nothing without a series of journeys, such as the one that Talia typically goes upon.
Yes, I am Ames and I play Talia.
Mm,
That's all you really need to know until you actually have to deal with her.
fair. Um, it looks like Roll20 is coming back and starting to behaving a bit more.
It seems to be working, question mark.
Yes, but as we continue around the horn, we have our final member of our merry band here, Callista. Would you please introduce yourself?
Howdy, y'all. I'm Ed. I play Callista of the Swiftclaw clan, who is our Leonin Ranger, and I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, very good. Very happy to have you. As we continue around, Sherry.
Hello there, I am Shetty. Wrong accent already off the bat, but you know I can't do an Irish. So, hi, I'm also Kaji, the pilot of your favorite fawn, Sherry.
Yes. And as we go from the swole satyr, we go to the even slightly more swole minotaur, Bavros.
Good evening, all. I am Phil. I am playing Bavros the Minotaur of the North. Welcome.
And then as we go from the even more swole, we go to the absolutely scrawny Alexian.
Hi, I'm James. I play Alexian Demetrios. He is a nerdy dude. He's made of stars. He knows a lot of stuff.
Indeed.
He's pretty nice.
So, this is our 5e Dungeons and Dragons campaign into the world of Theros. Well, we are using the Mystic Odysseys of Theros as a baseline. The characters that have been introduced and the story that we are trying to tell are wholly our own. We appreciate everyone's patience as we make sure that everything works effectively. So, but with that, I believe that we can get started if everyone is ready and does not have anything else that needs to be addressed.
No, let's go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Fortunately, Jukebox does not seem to want to work with me right now. Unfortunate.
Actually, not hearing anything on there.
Well, because I don't have anything playing. Again, technical difficulties. So, instead, we shall begin with a tale. A tale currently swifting through the grass. As after a very long march and a few days' rest along the coastline of the southern peninsula of Theros, we see a very proud-looking individual making their way towards the southern tip and the city of Neolantin. Callista, it has been quite some time. You spent a good few days speaking and coming in contact with old friends and old flames, perhaps. But as you finally set sight onto the now kind of dampened city of Neolantin, with the yesterday's rain having impeded your progress as a sudden storm seemed to have stopped you right at the city's cusp. Now that the sun is fully out, you can see the city in all its splendor. Would you like to describe yourself as you walk up to the guards outside the city gates?
Yeah. Callista is about 7 feet tall, very proud lioness with a little bit of fuzz growing out on herself. She's the typical sandy color, kind of the leonine with a little bit of dark fur kind of towards the end of her hands and feet. She's not fond of wearing shoes, as she likes to have her claws out, and is for a lack of a better word, strapped to the teeth with various types of swords, daggers, longbows with some light armor. But she wears a jovial smile on her face as she strolls on up, even though she knows she is very far from home.
Okay. As you are making your way into the city proper, you can see that after the day's rain, there does seem to be a little bit less activity, mostly just in order to make sure that, everyone is fixing up. It was quite a storm that suddenly blew in. And I think I finally have my music back. So let's see if I can get some good old-fashioned music going. Can everyone hear that, or no?
Not
There
yet.
we go.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
There it is. Yep.
Okay. Love it when stuff works. So, Callista, you can see as you enter that it appears to be a small bit of a communing. There's a group of people gathered in the city square, which you can see this early in the morning is filled with stalls that are currently empty as people are slowly beginning to come out of their homes early in the morning. As you begin to approach, you can start to barely hear the whispers of, I heard it again last night. It was really disturbing. I know it. I wasn't sure what it was, but that damn Vaso, he's got me thinking something fierce. Oh, come on, that's just a folktale. Nothing like that ever really happens. Seems like there's a bit of a stir in town.
Callista is going to raise up our... Greetings, may I inquire what you were talking about?
As you look over, if the people you're looking at come back at you a little shocked as they see a Leonin. Even though it is not uncommon for individuals such as yourself to appear here, it is definitely non-common, to say the least. But as they turn, they look to you with a very modest shock, but then kind of rest them. Oh, don't mind us. We're just talking, a little town gossip, as it were.
Well, I happen to love gossip, and I've traveled rather far, and I miss the comforts of home and a little friendly chat around the morning while you set things up, and then I'd be rather interested. I've traveled rather far, and I don't quite know where I'm going.
Roll me a persuasion check, if you would be so kind.
Why? Yes, I can do that. I don't know how it's gonna go. Apparently not very well for me, as that is an 8.
Well, I rolled a 4, so... The person before you looks at you and is kind of like... There have been rumors that there is this song that plays sometimes during the dead of night. It's said to lure people out of the city and into the forest to the south. On your way in, you did pass a very large forest that seemed to encompass a good chunk of the southern road. However, most of your travels took you around it rather than through it.
Into the forest, is that strange? Is that not somewhere people often go?
There's a bit of a rumor, you see.
Rumor, you say?
Yes, they say that the woods are cursed by Nylia.
Well, from my experience, gods don't exactly lay curses unless something brings their bane. Do you know?
I'm afraid I don't know the specifics, but there is a bard by the name of Vaso. He comes in every once in a while and regales us with these tales. He's the one who we heard most of this from.
Do you know where I could find this man? Or perhaps a blind sailor?
They kind of look to each other. Can't help you with a blind sailor, but if you're looking for where he typically shows up, they point across the square, and you see this massive, almost two-story marble column building with a sign that reads the Wayfarer's Lantern. That's the local inn, and he typically performs there during the night.
Well, it's a very long time from night. Do you think I could find him in the day?
Fortunately, we don't know where he goes during the day. Kind of just disappears altogether sometimes. As you're speaking, though, you do see one of the people, a sort of surly-looking satyr woman, kind of looks to you and says, "You know, you're now the 5th person to be asking about a blind sailor."
Really?
Yeah, there was what was it? There was the girl, there was the satyr girl, there was the large minotaur boy, and a star child of some kind.
Well, I believe at least 3 of those descriptions shall be helpful. I don't exactly know how helpful just a girl is, but thank you. Are they at the inn as well?
Last I saw them.
If you recall, DM, I did specifically tell her where we would be.
I know. I am aware. So,
Anyway, it just...
Sounds like my best choice is going to the inn then.
hi. Keep track of you. May the sea rise up to meet you.
May Thalia's blessings be upon you.
She kind of smiles at that. And so what do you wish to do now?
Let's go to the inn.
Okay. You head to the inn. Again, it is a massive 2-story building. While Neo-Lanton itself is a pretty large city, it's nowhere near as large as the Polis that you have visited. Certainly not as big as Melitus. But here, it is sizable, and the population is swelling, as you can tell. As you look far past the square, you can look out towards the docks and the port, where you can see a variety of ships, most of them tied down currently, given last night's storm, but they are resting in the bay. As you make your way inside, you're greeted with a dryness and a warmth that is very welcoming after such a dismal rain. And behind the bar, you can see a rather distinguished-looking centaur man currently pouring himself a cup of something. The interior is very, very cozy. Only a few chairs and tables, but serviceable and somewhat fashionable. Definitely on the higher end of what you've become accustomed to. And as you enter, the centaur man looks up and says, "Oh, greetings. Another weary traveler finds their way to my door. I can't help but say that I must be having some quite good fortune this week."
Greetings. Well, some of the best things come in the aftermath of a storm.
Very wise indeed.
I must say, I have some rather odd inquiries that I was hoping you could help me with.
You wouldn't be the first one. But allow me to introduce myself. My name is Demos, and I am the proprietor of this fine establishment.
Very nice to meet you. My name is Callista.
Don't get too many Leonins around here. Not to say that's a bad thing, but it certainly is an oddity.
Well, I often find that some of my people could use from a little more traveling.
Yes, I can say travel always does the soul good.
Does it widens one's view.
Indeed. So, what questions do you have for me?
Well, the first is I have an inquiry if you know a blind sailor.
You see him kind of get this, it's not necessarily nonplussed, but it's kind of like look on his face as he's like, Well, you're certainly not the only one asking around town about that, now are you?
That's what I've heard. I was given some description of those who are also looking, but I was wondering if you also knew where they were.
Well, he says as he looks over to the stairwell. Who would wake
What time
up
of day
first?
is it?
Oh, it's morning. It is morning. Like, just
Alexa-
past sunrise morning.
Alexian's been in a booth eating his breakfast and writing in his journal since like 6 a.m.
Callista, you see Demos gesture to one of the tables. Well, that young fellow over there certainly was the first to come and inquire.
He's not young though. He's like got even a little bit of gray in his beard.
Not as
and
much
he
as
does seem-
Demos. So,
True. I guess compared to him. But he's probably like 40s or something. Sort of like swept back, like almost dreadlocked hair, gray going through it, and beard similar, both tied with leather cords. And has like some stuff next to him on the chair, on the like booth chair, and then in front of him a journal in which he is writing currently.
Callista, with the confidence, who is 7 feet tall and hard to stop, is going to head over to your table.
The other thing you might notice is that everywhere that is in shadow about him is stars. He's Nyxborn.
indeed, you can see that as he stands there, he certainly seems to have this sort of mystical look as the light hits him. You can see that where the light touches and then the shadow would be is this almost void of space and starlight.
Interesting.
I'm sure he notices you as you approach and greets you. Hello?
Greetings. May the ocean rise to meet you. I've heard that you are also looking for a blind sailor.
He gives you this curious look, a slight smile, like pulling up one side of his mouth, basically. Says, "Well, you best sit down then." And smiles.
Callista is going to return the smile, though it doesn't quite have the same effect because her teeth is rather sharp as she sits down.
He's probably one of the first people that you've noticed that this has basically no effect on, perhaps. Like, he just doesn't seem to notice that fact at all. He as you sit down, he says, "Good morning and welcome to Neolanton, home
Good morning.
of pointless mysteries, it seems." He smiles. "I'm joking. We've had a rough time making any headway in this inquiry, yet I'm Alexian."
Callista,
Offers a hand.
and she's going to take the hand and be very careful, because making sure her claws are retracted, and is gently going to shake your hand.
Also, you're a solid 2 foot taller than this dude, almost. So he's
Yeah.
not a very big man. He's like 5'8". So
Oh boy.
Yeah.
yeah, he's
So,
not real big.
As you both
Got
sit
some
down, amongst the three of you that remain, who would probably be up at this early in the morning?
Bavros would have probably been up and probably outside, maybe exploring the city a little bit, trying to sort of see what he sees.
Okay.
If you'll pardon the pun.
Ah, I see. If you would like, you could. We'll say that you have just returned back from your morning explorations. The city is very different in the early morning compared to when you showed up and the rest of the day. It seems like Neolanton is one of those slow to start moving cities. They only really start to kick into gear once the sun is truly within the sky.
Okay.
But as you step in, you can see your acquaintance, we'll call him for now, Alexian, sitting at a table with a lion person.
Would I recognize what the lion person is?
I'm gonna say give me a history check. Either history or nature, your choice.
Okay. They're about the same. That was a 3.
You have never seen anyone like this ever in your entire life. You remember barely catching a glimpse of them when you passed through through Melitus, but other than that, that's a cat person.
Interesting. He seems to be civil, though, right? There's nothing aggressive in his posturing or anything like that, as far as I can tell, or is there?
What's your passive insight?
Passive insight would be.
What's your insight bonus? That's what he says.
Yeah, trying to find it. It's flat.
Okay, so it's a flat 10. This individual doesn't look threatening, at least not towards Alexian. You can see that they're covered in armor and weaponry that seem to vary from bows to daggers to swords. But aside from that, they are not acting hostile at the very least.
Okay. I will walk over to the table. Is there an open seat?
Yes, although it is one of the smaller seats. You may have to be a little careful sitting down.
Okay, well then judging that, I'll go and I'll push it to one side and sort of, I'll basically just take a knee
Okay.
next to Alexion and look at him and say, "Good morning."
Good morning.
And I'll look over at the cat person.
Bavros,
How are
Bavros, this is Callista. She also apparently seeks our blind sailor.
I'm finding it's a much more common inquiry than I thought it was going to be.
I'll look at Callista. Good morning. This is... And I'll put my hand out tentatively towards Callista, offering it.
Callista,
Um,
you've come across minotaurs before. This guy's big. Like, he's bigger than you, and that's saying something.
Callista's gonna take a moment to kind of size him up and take in the fact that she is not the tallest in the room, which is a strange experience for her, and is going to take, I believe you said his hand, sorry, my Wi-Fi's a little iffy right now, and is going to shake it with a bit more strength than she did Alexion's? Is that how you say it? Sorry.
Alexian. You can sort of pick one.
Alexian, my bad. And is gonna shake it with a bit more strength than she did his, seeing as she's pretty confident that this Minotaur can take it.
Good morning.
Morning. So not
you're
much headway.
You're looking for the sailor without sight as well?
I am.
There is something,
May-
definitely something going on here. It's beyond me.
I heard the rumors about something singing in the night. Have you found that all connected? Or is it just happenstance of the location?
Would I have heard anything as I was out walking around?
This is also things that we heard last time.
Well, yes, but Bavros specifically, because you have been traipsing about the town, you did hear a few people talking about Vasso's story last night and his circumstances in which he was explaining it. And some people seem to be talking as if, yeah, that kind of happened last night. In fact, has anyone seen, they say a name, you don't quite make it out, but it seems like someone might have gone missing.
I said yes. as I was out surveying the town, I did overhear some conversations about someone going missing during the night. It did remind me of Vasa's tale from last night.
The druid and his tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, since we are at a loss, perhaps it is best that we find the most interesting thing in town and wait for a sign or something.
Are the rest up yet?
Well,
I can do
suppose I
Alexian.
shall go and awaken Kanji. Wait, that's not her freaking name. Sherry. I think I heard Talia praying, though, this morning.
well,
Okay.
Talia, are you currently in the midst of morning prayer?
Yes, I would have allowed Sherry to sleep for the night, as well as into some of my prayer. And I would have spent some moments afterwards starting to carve a mask.
Okay. As you are currently just in the midst of your morning ritual, you can hear that the city is beginning to come alive. More foot traffic seems to be making their way out, and you can start to hear the sounds of people talking and cavorting about. As you are finishing up your mask for at least as much as you can for the moment, you begin to hear the sounds of footsteps, and coming up the steps, you hear at your door.
Good morning. I'm sorry if I'm disturbing you.
I rise from the floor, in which I've been doing everything on, and just idly take the blanket in which Sherry has most likely wrapped herself into, I'm assuming, and yank.
As you undo the Sherry hero, Sherry, roll me a dex save at disadvantage because you're asleep. You would technically automatically fail this, but because of your natural awareness, I'm going to give you a chance.
Awesome. Cool. So is it a dex save or just a dexterity?
Dexterity saving throw at disadvantage.
Already got disadvantage set up. Let's go. Oh, that had been a disadvantage. It's a 7.
So as you suddenly feel your warmth kind of snug suddenly pulled out from underneath you, you kind of onto the ground.
What in bloody hell? Oh, hello. Oi,
It is
what you
morning.
doing?
It is morning, and we should actually be greeting the day.
Are you sure? It's not even noon yet.
Is everything all right? And then I heard a clatter.
It's just me hooves. Someone decided to wake me up a bit early.
It is not early,
Well-
it is of time.
It's not noon yet. And it's not a game day. You don't need to be up this early.
So you will shirk your responsibility.
Oh, I didn't say that. I just said it was a bit early. We had a lot of fun. It was a small revel. It was a revel nonetheless. Don't you
Had a
speak
day.
like that then?
It is time to rise.
She's gonna.
How loud are you?
You-
Go ahead.
I would have woken you an hour prior, but I decided to allow you the time.
Thank you. I do appreciate. Good long rest. One can't get as bulk as this without a little bit of sleep.
How loud are you guys speaking right now?
She's very
Moderate.
You're hearing like every
Do
other
I
word.
Do I need to try to overhear the conversation?
I mean, if you want to, that's on you.
You probably would have heard the "I bloody hell," but otherwise, and like the falling and tumbling of hooves and feet, and probably a horn bunk.
I got a 23.
With a 23, you can definitely hear a majority of the conversation as you kind of put your ear to the door and just kind of listen in.
He just kind of like leans a little closer, and then after it continues to go on for a while, he'll do like another knock, and he's like, I've met another downstairs that seeks this sailor, as we do.
As I have said, it is time.
Oh,
I'll be out and about.
oh, we got another sailor.
Get yourself together, and I will meet you downstairs.
Brushes herself off. Aye, just give me a minute to fluff out my fur a little bit.
Talia's just immediately just going to go to the door and open it, whether he's there or not.
He's already walking down the hall, and he's headed for. I'm actually going to go for a little walk around town after this. So you guys can talk to our newcomer. I'll let everybody know that's what I'm doing, but I'm gonna go, like, basically say I'm gonna go see what's up with this whole rumor.
Okay.
See if I can find out more.
So you head downstairs. As you come downstairs, you can see that Bavros and Callista seem to be... I don't know, would you guys be chatting, or are you actively just kind of sizing each other up?
Awkward.
Comparing muscles, maybe?
Yeah, right. Bowers would be getting breakfast first off, and then maybe sort of casually chatting with Callista to sort of maybe try and probe a little bit to see what they're willing to reveal about how they came to hear of the sailor. So you say you're looking for the sailor without sight. How did you come to hear of that?
Well, a vision from my goddess, of course.
And what else did your goddess reveal? If you don't mind me asking.
Now, this is where to start, but it is simply a start, not the end of a journey.
Did she say anything else that might give you a clue where to go?
Just that I should look for a blind sailor along these parts. And I do believe I have found the people that I was supposed to be seeking, so I am content that, like the tide, our time will come, and we'll find what we're looking for.
Indeed.
What about you? How did you hear about this blind sailor that everyone seems to be looking for?
In a not dissimilar fashion. It seems as though we've all received similar messages, and our friend Alexian, I believe, is of the mindset that perhaps we were meant to just find each other here, but I'm not sure.
Well,
It just seems a bit too, how would I say, simple to be brought here just for that. There must be more to it.
well, I mean, if everyone got their images in a similar or dissimilar way, but would seem very odd for those chosen to not have some greater purpose in a place, but you could also say it's one hell of a coincidence that we all show up and people are going missing.
Indeed, this is true.
Perhaps our blind sailor is one of those folks who have gone missing, if no one else can seem to find him.
As you guys are discussing...
I had not thought of that.
As you guys are discussing, Demos comes over with your breakfast, Bavros, which is a very hearty meal. Has a lot of breads and root fibers that, are needed to build. There is a small platter of fish, though he's not sure if that's your preference. It is what he has to offer.
I will take it gladly, and I'll give him the silver for breakfast, was it?
Yes.
Demos?
One silver for breakfast. This is a slightly higher end establishment.
Yes.
As you guys are sitting there, he kind of leans into them. Well, forgive me for overhearing, but it seems like you're at a bit of a loss.
There's some ambiguity, it seems. Yes.
Well, from the small rumors that I've been hearing since the beginning of the morning, it does seem like as if someone has gone missing. And on
I
top
had.
of that, it is one of Amelia's sailors.
Oh, is it?
Indeed.
Callista, maybe
Well,
you're onto something.
it does not seem strange to me that one without sight might be attracted to sound, so this may be worth investigating, though I am not inclined to go venturing into a so-called cursed forest by myself.
DM, is this when we walk up?
Yes, this would be when you guys walk downstairs. So, Callista, you see a satyr woman, very broad shoulders and very well built, next to a similarly well built human woman with glossy ebony black hair and a symbol that seems to rest upon her shield.
Question, DM.
Mm-hmm.
Dark brown hair.
Sorry.
Can she like jump down the stairs kind of like in an excited gallop, or just like with like stairwell just kind of leap off? How tall is the stairway? Because she likes to make an entrance, and she's just kind of like food.
You can hop the like last 4 rungs if you very much wish to.
Jump off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's gonna jump off those last 4 rungs and land.
So yeah, you just kind of land from coming down from above, and there's this very big thud as 2 very powerful hooves seem to dig their way into the stone floor here. And you can see that Demos kind of looks over your direction and raises an eyebrow, just like, mind the floor, dear.
Sorry, got a little excited there for breakfast.
I'll get that right to you, as he heads back behind the bar.
She's gonna kind of just get a little sheepish, kind of like
sheepish.
By the by, I would like to say that Alexian had already told the people at the table that his plan was to leave the inn for a little bit and go
I gotcha.
check some stuff.
I gotcha.
Okay.
So he's like walking out ahead.
I'll stand up and raise a hand to Sherry as she makes her entrance.
Yeah, you raised a hand that's sore.
Yes. Slightly wincing, but only slightly.
I forgot about that.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Is your arm?
Oh, it's fine. I'll kind of rotate it a little bit. It's good. It's good.
She's gonna gently punch your other arm.
Well earned stiffness.
She's gonna punch your other arm gently, of course, with like a kind of like a tease. Just don't worry, you'll get to me next time, I'm sure. Maybe.
I'll overreact a little bit. Oh, brutal. At least it's balanced now.
Talia, you walk up behind these 2, shall we say, fools acting out a bit of roughhouse.
I'm going to look to the Leonin. Just have that one moment of just sizing up. Did I hear you correctly?
I've said a lot of things, so it depends on what you've heard me say.
Talia, good morning. This is our new friend, Callista.
Hello.
Callista, this is Talia. And this is
Greetings.
Shetty Rose. You may have heard of her. She's quite famous.
So you don't.
Have I?
History check.
But I'm just.
See.
I was mostly referring if you had actually. Well. Forgive me. I've been rude.
No, please, Talia, continue.
I overheard you speaking as I was coming down the stairwell. This sailor. There was someone missing this morning.
Yes.
That seems to be the word on the street is someone heard the call from the forest last night and walked off into it, and it seems to have been a sailor. I was just saying that perhaps this was the one that we are looking for, since no one else can seem to find him.
Callista,
I thought that was just a story, though.
Callista, with that history check, real quick, you're not really sure. You had heard rumors that Satyr had become a very big celebrity in the northern desert region, but you spent most of your time after you had left your pride in the southern, more Melitus central area, so it's hard to say.
As Sherry has mentioned, that is similar to the story we heard last night.
Well, stories have to come from somewhere, do they not?
It is too on the point.
Coincidental too.
I assume that
Well,
you heard about this tale similar to how we did.
I mean, I just overheard some townsfolk's gossip, and they indulged me in my proclivities to a little bit of.
I meant about the blind sailor.
Perhaps
what-
I don't know what your own experiences were, but I have had my brush with the divine.
As you guys are discussing this, Alexian, you have head out into town in order to try and get a more of a understanding of the circumstances. I'm going to say roll me a perception check.
So let me tell you what my plan is specifically. I'm trying to find out who this dude is, who went missing, and who his people are, if I can manage that as well. Is that still perception?
Yes. For now is to see if you can locate anyone speaking of such things.
Sorry, I rolled it twice. For 14 was when I rolled.
Okay. With a 14, you do hear some people speaking. Yeah, I haven't seen Stefanos all morning. It's very unlike him. Normally, he's one of the first people up in the morning. I heard he got pretty deep into the cups last night. Who knows what might have happened? Really?
I
Stefanos?
approach. Go
You
ahead.
approach.
Continue. Finish your thing. I thought you were finished.
That was it, really.
Okay. So I walk up to these folks, and I say,
Excuse me. Were you speaking of the man who's potentially went missing last night? Something about the call of the forest.
Yes, quite a few people heard it last night. There was this somewhat enchanting song. It was
I see.
I can't really remember the words or anything about it, but I do remember from the little bit that I did hear when I woke up, it was this lovely woman's voice coming from, well, he kind of gestures to the south.
Do you know
what was that guy's name again? I was pulling my notes up. Sorry.
Stefanos.
this Stefanos? Does he have family in town, friends that you know of?
He does. I believe he has a sister. She lives over by the docks as a helping hand for the nets. Stefanos is one of our fishermen, you see.
Was anyone around to see his disappearance that you're aware of?
They all kind of shake their heads.
Thank you.
He leaves. He's going to find. What was her name again?
You didn't get
Sister.
a name?
They didn't say either.
Well, you didn't
Okay.
ask.
Well, I'm going to go back and ask now.
They will inform you that Stefanos' sister's name is Irene.
Irene, you said?
Yes.
Irene.
Correct.
I'm going to go try and find Irene.
Okay. You begin making your way towards the docks, and you can see the line of domiciles that seem to be at the border of the boardwalk, to say the least. Seem to branch off from the road where the dirt becomes wood. And you can, asking around a little bit, you hear tales that Irene and her brother Stefanos live in a small little cottage-like house towards the eastern side of the docks. And as you begin making your way, you see this relatively young woman, blonde-ish hair, sun-bleached skin, and suntan skin, and currently sweeping up outside as she seems to be preparing for whatever is to come for the day.
And can you tell me, outside their home, you said?
Yes.
This is a... What can you tell me about the
Well, the neighborhood is a real
neighborhood and the house itself? Like, what am I expecting? Is she, like, threadbare, or is this place, like, decently well kept? Like...
It is, well, for being right up against the docks, it is relatively clean. There is the telltale signs of salt spray having washed up over the shore, up over the docks for many years, as well as a series of nets that seem to hang off the side of the house, where you can see different knots and shells and other things kept in it, upon which she seems to be sweeping some kelp off the side of her porch that seemed to have washed up onto the docks.
What's her mood seem like as I approach?
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. Button. Be good. Aw, it's bad. It's a 12.
Okay.
Oh, right. I'm supposed to say what my role is every time. Okay,
Yes.
must remember.
You kind of try to size her up, but she seems to be relatively composed. She doesn't seem to be
Okay.
shaken or anything, but you can definitely see there's this furrow on her brow.
So I just calmly approach and just say, "You must be Irene.
And she's
Am I
like,
correct?"
Look, I have 3 nets already set in. Oh! As she looks up to see you. My apologies. I thought you were one of the fishermen asking about their net. Yes, I am Irene.
He shakes his head, stoic face.
How may I be of assistance?
He seems to think for a moment, and he just says, and kind of like looks off into the middle distance, like away from her, and then looks back at her like straight in the eyes and says, "No delicate way of putting this. I have been hearing in town that your brother, Stephanos, is missing."
You immediately see her face just kind of... It's not that she's mad, but you can definitely get a sense of concern. Yes.
Is this unusual for him to go?
It's not unusual for him to be away, but it is unusual for him not to come home.
Does he live with you?
Yes, we share this place together. Normally, even when he's out late, he typically comes in before sunrise, but this morning he was nowhere to be seen. And his bed was left made, so I hearken to think that he did not come home.
I heard that he was a sailor. Is that accurate? Is he just home sometimes then? Often away at sea?
Well, he likes to call himself a sailor. He's a fisherman. He thinks he's
I was to
someone-
ask you whether or not you might call him blind at times. How would you respond?
She kind of puts her chin in her hands. Well, he's known for having one of the best eyesights, being able to spot a fish under the waves at 20 fathoms. But, granted, that's all hyperbole. He's definitely oblivious sometimes. Doesn't see the world around him as much as he sees what's in front of him.
Lexian's face kind of sort of darkens a little bit as she says that phrase. He doesn't see what's around him, he just sees what's in front of him thing. Because it sounds almost exactly like what Talia said to him the previous night. And he says, "Yes. Well, what else can you tell me about your brother? I know your time is valuable, but he might be in some danger, and I might be interested in helping."
What do you mean, danger? Has he done something?
No. Let me tell you this. I imagine we can
Mhm.
cutscene part of that to where he's gonna go in and tell her the story and then be
Okay.
like, there's potentially some stuff going on.
Yeah.
I'm particularly interested. He doesn't give her any details of his own shit,
Right.
basically.
Okay.
And then is gonna see if she'll elaborate on things about her brother, basically.
She tells you that he's particularly ambitious, even though he is short-sighted, some might say. He seems to think of these instantaneous fits of whimsy that he thinks will pay off in the end, but have no real merit if you try and think about it in the long run. And he does happen to get up in his head a little bit, as she puts it. But she doesn't... He's not a bad person by any means. And he's certainly...
How old is he?
He's approximately 20. Just barely a man, effectively.
I get it.
And really just wants to try and do good. Feels like there's this calling that he can't seem to quite find.
Would you say that he drinks too much, Irene?
No, never. Not to say that he never drinks, but he never overindulges. He thoroughly believes that he needs to keep his wits about him.
Insight check.
Sure. Roll me an insight.
Okay. That's a better one. For the truth.
Okay.
Whatever.
She seems to believe this statement. At the
Okay.
very least, she believes that he would never overindulge without a reason.
Okay.
So,
This was, I guess, mostly a check of how well does she know her brother also. So,
fair.
like, science has been done. Worthwhile.
So,
And so,
Has anything odd or interesting happened to him lately?
not that I can say. Although, she kind of thinks,
sick.
he is always going to the Wayfarer's Lantern, Wayfinder's Lantern whenever that bard is in town.
Oh no. All right. Well, so obviously Alexian does not say that. What he does say is,
Does he have any other friends in town? People he spends a lot of time with? Besides this bard?
Well, he doesn't spend a lot of time with him. He just goes to see him perform. Aside from that, he has a few friends out in the docks, but I'm certain they'll tell you the same things that I've told you. If you do find him, though, please let me know. I am quite concerned.
dude's name is, Vasa. There we go.
I will do so. I'll make sure you know anything I do about the whereabouts of your brother.
Thank you very much.
And until then, have a good day and peace of mind to you.
May
He
the gods
leaves.
bless you.
Stops, pauses, and leaves.
Okay. We will smash cut back to Alexian returning back to the Wayfinder's
Sick.
Wayfinder's Lantern, unless anyone else has something they wish to do in the meantime.
Yeah, if you guys want like RP or something, I've been gone for a while.
I just say that I'm kind of wondering if maybe what we should do, hearing what we did about this person who went missing, and given what we heard from Vaso and his story last night, and there was that hunting party that I saw as I was walking into town. They were heading out as I was coming in, but I think I saw some of them here last night. Maybe we should go talk to them and find out what they know and where they went. Maybe they could,
I agree.
if someone wandered into the forest, they would obviously know it better than I do.
They would know
Maybe
very
then.
much more than we would.
So
So
maybe that's something we should pursue once Alexian gets back.
Of course, we don't want to split up the party.
No.
Well, I agree that we should, though. If anything, first we need to get food. Can't go on an empty stomach.
And I'm
Demos
chow-
places another
chowing
platter
down
the
on my
table.
plate.
Well, ask and be
I'm
answered.
not.
Okay.
Aye, you're like a blessing in disguise, Demos.
Well, blessings are certainly upon this humble establishment, I'll tell you that much.
As she takes a huge bite. What about Demos?
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit more about maybe the man that went missing? since I think our acquaintance has gone and looked for his own info, I guess stick close to home. What do you know about this missing person?
Well, as he basically tells you, uh, he knows that Stefanos is a pretty regular customer. Doesn't really overindulge too much. Let's see if he remembers something. Okay. Demos thinks for a moment. I do remember last night. Perhaps he was a little more indulged than he normally is. Callista, you wish to say something?
I'd like to insight check Demos to see if he's telling the full truth
Okay.
as he discusses this.
Roll me an insight check.
Seems the tavern was the last place. That's a 12. Not doing super hot tonight.
Demos has one of those faces. It's not the stone cold, you can't read shit face, but he just has this pleasant demeanor that it's very hard to think that he would ever conceive of the possibility of a lie.
Like our lovely
Okay.
purple.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say.
But yes, he was quite inebriated last night. Perhaps something was on his mind, but I can't say for sure. He seems to have gone, for now, at the very least.
Well, I did see the hunting party, like Bavaro said. I know they were worshipping, or they were going to, was it, give something under the, sorry, my brain's a little fuzzy as I check. They were under the goddess, I am
Nylia?
unable to find it. Nylia, thank you.
Okay.
They were under the goddess Nylia, I believe, right? They were going to offer something to the forest, and that something along those lines. I was just coming into town. I was more excited about entering than I was listening.
Ah, yes. Every so often, followers of Nylia will come to the forest to attempt to appease the curse that has seemed to have befallen the forest of the south. It's a little uncertain whether or not any of their attempts are successful, though.
What are they doing? If I might
Do you know
ask?
why it's cursed?
Well,
Oh, you weren't here for the story last night, were you?
No. I just know that it's cursed. I was wondering if there was a reason.
Absolutely, I'd love to retell the quick, more shorter version of it if you don't mind. Well, but I'll get into that for a second if you don't mind holding Callista, right?
Yes.
Right. Demos, one question.
Hmm?
First off, this food is delicious.
Oh,
Secondly, she takes another bite. Shockingly, I was wondering, is there any way to get in touch with these hunters? I'd like to see if they know anything about where they go, so we can see if there's anything about maybe the Alexi man went there.
of course, there is the Hunter's Lodge to the western part of town. It's a smaller establishment. Many people are more of the wandering sort that seem to make their way. There is one fellow there who has made it his calling. Kind of a larger chap, seems to hold himself with an air of authority. If you catch my drift.
What's his name? What's his name, if you don't mind?
Ah, yes, that would be Macus.
Marcus. How do you spell that, Dion?
Makis. Very simple.
Thank you. Oh, you spelled it with 2 A's instead of an I. Thank you. As soon as I finish this breakfast, I think I would like to go see the hunting lodge if you lot would like to follow.
Of course.
As you said,
Perhaps we should wait for Alexian to return. Assuming
Well,
he's
I'm
not
not
come back yet, right?
As you,
I don't
I was
know.
about to say, as you say that, in walks Alexian with a combination contemplative but somewhat satisfied look on his face, I imagine.
He looks like he has learned things, but they have not made him happy. He looks like he is chewing on something mentally as he comes in and sees you all. Comes to sit down. What has Talia been doing during all this? Is she
Talia
here?
most likely has been, to be completely honest, gone to the bar to essentially pay for a meal
Mm-hmm.
for both herself and the newcomer,
Very kind of you.
and has been low-key waiting while just listening to everything.
Okay. You come with a platter that Demos had prepared for you and Callista and set it onto the table. That will cost you 2 silver just for the meals.
Of course, thank you.
So I
I
Quickly
will
ask-
set down a gold.
He takes it.
Damn.
I would like change, please.
Very well. And he passes you back 6 silver.
I will only
8.
take 5 of them.
The 6 is also covering the night's stay from last night.
I had prepaid.
Oh, right. Sorry. So, yeah, 8 silver back. And you would have taken 5?
Yeah.
Okay. You will take the other 3 as gratuity.
So arriving Alexian, basically without preamble, just walks up to the table and just says,
I have been asking around town somewhat. Met the missing man's sister. Learned both of their names. Man who went missing last night. Stephanos. They mentioned his name. Met his sister Irene. But a young man he was. I'm not sure on what significance it has, but he has been attending Vasso's performances nightly, almost, according to his sister. Not sure what to make of it.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Talia. You were going to say something.
I was just thinking. Also, here's a plate for our new friend.
Why, thank you.
I was simply thinking along the lines of, it's strange how a tale that was told led to a disappearance, especially when we were told that this would be a guide. I was told it would be a guide.
Perhaps he is not a guide himself, but following his path may guide us where we need to go. At
Either
this
the
point,
one,
it's all speculation.
yes, either
Demos.
this,
Forgive me, Talia. Go ahead.
either this disappearance has attempted to lead us towards the forest, or perhaps the bard needs to do the same. But there are many signs that are pointing us into a direction.
I had a thought process through my head. But what if we were all drawn together by the same phrase to get us all here, a blind sailor? Like, you will all find yourself if you're looking for the same thing that doesn't exist. And we are meant to be something else. And the sudden disappearance of a person? Clues, anybody?
Could be.
I do not
Demos.
believe. I do not believe that they would lie to us.
It wasn't a lie. It was just something, a clue for us to find each other. They did say it was a guide, and that was a guide to get us here.
The intentions of the gods are often murky, opaque.
Indeed.
Misleading.
That's funny.
Demos.
Find has many a definition.
Yes, what may I do for you,
What?
my friend?
I have to task your memory for a moment. The last few times Vaso was here, do you recall there being other instances of people disappearing after his his visits?
Kind of scratches his beard. Let's see.
Excellent question.
I do not. I can't say. I'm sorry.
Correct.
I do know that after Vaso tends to come, well, business picks up for me at the very least. But he always seems to have a increasing amount of fans every time he comes to town. More. Whoop. Apologies, everyone. We seem to have lost James momentarily. One moment, and we will be right back with everything. Here we go. You were saying, Bavros.
No, I was just saying that, I was wondering if there was any history, maybe a pattern of people disappearing after Vaso comes for his performances.
Can't say that if there has been that I've taken notice.
Okay. Maybe what we should do is go to the Hunter's Lodge and find that troop over there. You said the name was Macus?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, Macus is the self-proclaimed leader of this hunting troop.
Maybe they could give us more information about the forest, maybe other disappearances.
Well,
What do you all think?
I do think we should definitely go see the lodge, correct? I'm
I
sorry.
mean-
I was more delved into food than I was quite listening there for a second.
Well, I am quite
Okay,
adept
you
at.
need your strength.
I am quite adept at navigating wilderness, but it never hurt to have the insight of people that actually know the terrain, especially when dealing with curses. If that's, I think all roads lead to the forest at this point, and perhaps that missing sailor.
Seems
Worst
like.
case, we do a good deed. Best case, we find some answers.
Have
I
you
see no
guys
law.
mentioned? Sorry, thought you were done.
You're all good.
Have you guys mentioned to Alexian yet the thing you heard about the forests and curses and stuff? Is this first he's hearing?
Well, that was part of Vaso's story last night. I thought.
No, that's not what I'm referring to. You got something new.
You've heard all of it though, I thought.
Yeah, I thought too.
Yeah,
The
okay.
curse
Well,
for-
Yeah, I thought that was part of
I have
the
another way
Vaso's
of
tale.
potentially. I have another way of potentially doing this, so it's fine. So he'll just say,
In my experience, Nylea, cursed forests, danger abounds.
he shakes his head like pensively.
Going in there unprepared.
He like you can tell like his mood is like more introspective during this whole thing.
Deadly. We should not travel the wilderness of Nylea's forests lightly. Especially if a curse is mentioned.
Demos did say that there was the Hunter's Guild to go to, and I was thinking we should stop there, but because I
What?
agree with multiple people's ideas that we don't want to quite be there with our tails hanging out, or lack of for those that don't. As she kind of smiles cheekily at Dahlia and Alexian.
Agreed.
Okay.
Ideally, we can find someone who might be able to help us locate this man. Perhaps he's involved.
Did say I believe his memory was Macus. His name was Macus. He runs the lodge as much as he could, I'd say. So why don't we
Maybe-
stop
maybe-
there first, get an idea of where they go, then we head into the forest.
That sounds
I'm
like a plan.
also quite adept at tracking if people from the guild aren't quite as willing to accompany us. into the actual forest. For perhaps it's just a tale of a drunken sailor wandering off.
Well, I can only hope so.
Good to know.
I do believe that perhaps those who have sought us are asking us to at least look into this. Without words, of course.
So,
After speaking with his sister, Talia, it seemed some things about his character line up with your expectations, in fact. Blind to the world around him, focused on...
Someone foolish, then.
See,
Yes,
I told you to. Maybe it was just
foolish,
a
young.
word in the same area.
so,
This
No.
seems like my best lead.
Yes.
so are we heading over to the Hunters Guild then?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay. You finish your breakfast. Everyone gets a nice hearty meal to set off the day. Dimos gives you all a thank you, and you begin making your way out. You head across the now active city, which seems to have many more people, and you begin heading towards a direction you have yet to have explored. The western side of the city is significantly more open. There's a lot more room to move. You think that perhaps this might actually be part of the higher district of the city. You can see that there are small parks everywhere you look, as well as significantly more adorned buildings. And far, far to the west, you can see that just almost hitting the other side of the bay appears to be a series of houses up on the hill. You assume probably, if they themselves are not temples, at the very least they are very wealthy individuals. However, your attention is drawn not up onto the hill, but off towards the parks. As you begin to make your way through, you start to see this almost entirely wooden lodge that sits. It's not as big as the Wayfinder's Lantern by any means, but it is sizable. And you can see various adornments hang on the outside, mostly of animal skins as well as trophies from a solid hunt. While it is mostly known that hunters follow under the guise of Nylia, it is not uncommon for them to hold on to memories of a precious hunt or a particularly fearsome one. As you make your way inside, there's no sign to indicate anything aside from a very large bow and arrow etched onto the door frame. And as you enter, you can see that inside are three individuals. One you all seem to recognize, as you see Prokopnos, the Triton worshipper of Karanos, seems to be here as well as a man that a few of you recognize, predominantly Sherry and Bavros, as you see the man who was in charge of the hunting party sitting behind a desk, currently with a very curt look. As across from the desk, you can see Prokopnos and another individual. This one seems to be another human, kind of young-ish, more closer probably in his late 20s, but he seems to be well-built and very spry. As you enter, you can see adorning the walls are more trophies, antlers, horns, various skulls that you have found that are well-preserved, at the very least, but certainly this is a place of life and death. You make your
head up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You make your way up, and as you turn, you start to hear a little bit of the conversation. Prokopna seems to claim, "I'm telling you, hunting for the fish this time of year is not going to go well. I know that you are dead set on finding that shark, but I highly advise against it." And the man behind the counter with the curt look just kind of looks up. "That thing has evaded us for a while now. And if we're starting to have people go missing, well, I'm not about to take any chances now, are I, with a feral fish?" You can see that.
So as there's a, go ahead. As there's a, were you saying something else?
Yeah, you can see that Prokopnos is quite unhappy with that phrasing.
As they seem to enter a lull in their conversation, as we like sort of enter, Alexian will like politely go clear his throat.
You clear your throat. I'm just gonna. Don't mind me. I'm just moving some stuff on the OBS because this is getting annoying.
I'm really sorry, guys. By the way, for everybody who's just listening and not involved in our chat, my computer is being old and unreliable at the so stuck on the video.
Yes, a bit of a butt, as it were.
Yes, pretty much. It's trying to die on, so I'll have to do something about that.
So what do you say to these individuals?
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt.
Sorry, do you want me to continue or you want
You may continue, yes.
So, he says, my
colleagues and I, are interested in the disappearances of late. You said plural, is that correct?
The man kind of looks you up and down, very, very nonplussed by the situation.
We're sort of an odd group overall, obviously.
Yeah. He kind of looks from person to person, somewhat recognizes Sherry and Bavros, and then kind of looks to Callista, seeing the straps clearly indicating someone who is used to hunting. Look.
And since I don't know the man, I say to him,
My name is Alexian, and
he'll just start introducing people unless this guy interrupts.
Well, I am Marcus, and this is my lodge. So unless you're here to ask for about a hunt, I suggest you be on your way.
Sherry's gonna kind of hop forward if I'm kind of looking at everyone like, do you mind if I just speak up? Cool. So she's gonna be kind of like, no one's gonna stop her. Cool.
I was planning on going forward, but you're welcome to.
That's what she's looking around like. Cool. If I like, she's gonna kind of step forward and kind of look to you, look to everyone else like, do you mind if I take the lead or something? If someone wants to stop her.
He's not one to stop you necessarily, but he kind of gives you. He'll wait and he'll ask his questions. It's fine. Go nuts.
Well, I actually was kind of curious. As Alexian did say, we were looking into the disappearances. I was wondering if there might be some ties to the forest, since there's a lot of talk about a song, and the last story that I heard about a song was, well, involving Nalia and a druid man. So I was wondering if, you could spare a couple people to show us to the forest and maybe we could see what we can investigate on.
the most recent of the disappearances was,
I am aware.
said to have... I see. So you're aware of the issue. Is it something that recurs here? Something that happens often?
If you look closely enough, perhaps. Every few months or so, someone is said to have been stumbling into the forest for no reason. I personally put it on the drink than anything else. Some people don't know how to hold their wine. But...
I know that story.
Not in this case, I don't believe.
He's giving them like a very serious and frank look as he says so.
Look, are you thinking of heading out into that forest?
Boy.
Not before speaking with you of its dangers.
Dangers. There are more dangers in that forest than anyone would care to admit. It's a cursed land. You've heard the tales, I assume.
Recently.
What? Yes. Can you tell us more of this curse?
I can tell you this much. Going in there ill-prepared will end in your deaths. I've lost a few less trained hunters that way. It is uncertain what exactly lies within. Most people don't go much further than a few hundred yards before turning back or never being seen again. I can tell you this much. The further you go in, the deeper the briars become. The harder it becomes to traverse. If you're going to go in, I recommend taking precautions.
What about your people? Do they venture further within? Or do they stick to the first few hundred yards as you have said?
My hunters stay close. We only hunt what we need and give a blessing, pray for blessings from Nalia so that we may appease the forest. We don't ever dare try to traipse further.
What preparations do you suggest?
I would like everyone to give me a collective persuasion check just to see how well this individual seems to garner everyone. So.
Also, I think Talia might be wanting to say something. But persuasion check.
Yes.
As soon as it loads, I will roll it.
Make sure I'm
Was there something you wanted to say, Talia?
There was a statement, but I'm also not very good at butting in.
sorry. Serious. Also, I want to apologize if my voice is a little bit hoarse. I've been working a haunt, so screaming at people for 2 nights straight is affecting.
I rolled an 8,
I rolled a 17.
as I have spent time raising a hand, putting it down, raising the hand, and then giving up.
Talia?
Yeah, I same. Would say the same.
I kind of,
like,
tilt my head
jump
towards her.
over.
Have you retrieved the bodies of those who have gone into the forest?
Well, that certainly explains that 8 that you rolled.
Yeah.
Kind of looks you all over. No. We haven't. Those
Insight check.
Sure. If you wish.
Boom! Boom!
Oh,
I know everything.
You know
Their
that
minds are as an open book to me.
you know that he has a mind to stab you all for bringing up such a sore subject.
I knew that already, though.
But he seems to be telling the truth. Yes, Callista.
Callista would step forward slightly and go, I know, especially when the gods are involved, sacrifices are very common. I was wondering if your town often made them, Senilia, in honor of a good hunt, or to be spared the curse further in.
We do our best. We can't say whether or not it works. And honestly, I'm a mindset to start to believe that it's not. Something is amiss here near Lambton. And if it's because of that accursed forest, then so be it. But we have neither the might, nor the strength, nor the god's blessing that could guide us through such a treacherous place to its heart.
I could offer my services. I'm not saying I'm better than any of your hunters, but I am probably more expendable to this town than your good men, and if you have a rough map of the area, I know how to make myself through difficult terrain.
And those who have been left do need to have the coin for the ferryman.
Do what you please. I'm not sending any more men out there.
You have a map of the area you could spare.
He turns around and produces a small map of the area. It covers mostly the city. not so much the outskirts. You do see where the forest begins to butt up against. It's only about barely a mile outside of town. And he warns you, if you're going to head there, take care of the brambles. They carry with them a toxin. Has a habit of putting people to sleep, so to say.
So,
Good.
Is there an herbalist in the area who might be able to help us against such toxins?
Can't say that I know of any. Most medicine we get comes from that centaur.
you say
Which-
that with disdain. Which one is it?
The one who overcharges me for my drinks.
Ah,
So, you're not friends with Dinos?
No.
I can understand from your looks, but that might not be my place to ask that story. So
Yeah, I
think-
don't believe it is, so I'm going to kindly ask that you get out of my lodge now before I fire 5 arrows into each of you.
She's gonna you can see her wanting to jab, but then just common sense goes, "You've gotten enough," and kind of just, I know when my stage is gone. Kind of starts to head out.
of course, sir. And may the coin you carry for Athreos bring you happiness to your unlife.
Athleos will greet me at his own time. Be gone with you.
Before I leave, I would like to say,
I'm sorry to trouble you further, sir, but I'd be happy to pay for a moment to make an attempt at copying your map.
by the way, Oscar, I have Navigator's Tools proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Would this even work? Is this a thing that I could feasibly, be able to potentially do with Navigator's Tools proficiency? Or...
Looking at the map, you don't think it's going to be much help aside from getting you to the forest edge, which is not a hard task in and of itself. So, it is not necessarily... It is not necessarily a map of the forest.
Oh, it's a map of the... Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Then
a
I
map
have-
to, it's a map to the forest.
Instead of asking that, then, I have one last question for him before I... And I'll even say that.
One last question before I leave. What do you know of the bard, Vaso?
I know that he's an ass. Now get yours out of here.
He does. He just,
When we're-
does the slow, bow nod thing with the other.
When we're leaving, she's gonna pop her head back in. I hope your next battle is blessed by arrows, and they quickly tuck her head out before she gets shot with an arrow.
You're lucky. It's not an arrow, but it is a dagger that suddenly finds itself embedded in the doorframe. As you guys make your way outside of the Hunter's Hall, as you get a few steps away, you hear a voice call out from behind you. My friends, wait one moment. As Procopno seems to have followed you outside.
Is he always like that?
Well, she's got a cheeky grin, and just she's like, "Oh yeah, let's go." So it
He's-
didn't seem to bother her. She just had a dagger thrown at her. In fact, she seems a little more pumped because of it.
He's not in the best mindset right now, I'm afraid. Stefanos is a friend of his.
That would
So
explain.
this is a hard loss.
Well, perhaps we can turn this loss into not so if you're... Are you actually planning on going out there?
Boy, of course we
Yeah,
have.
it sure looks that way.
We should bring back a body either way.
If that's the case, one moment. You see him rummage around in his bag, and he produces 2 vials. Well, these may not necessarily be the most at preventing damage. They certainly are helpful with the toxins. I recommend that if any of you feel quite susceptible to such things, you imbibe these before heading in.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that toxins just make you sleepy. would having something like smelling salts or something strong that really makes you reek wake somebody up, do you think?
It's a bit stronger than that.
I,
Remember, the woods are magic. As much as we don't want to think they are, they are.
it's worth a try.
But these should help. As he passes along 2 antitoxins.
Okay.
Sir, might I ask why you have gone out of your way to be of assistance?
Because I feel like, oh, to be fair, I feel like, well, when you showed up, lightning sort of struck me. And I have a very innate feeling that if anyone was to do anything about what's happening, it would certainly be you lot. Though, I can't say I know you quite as well, as he waves to you, Callista.
They're also looking for the blind sailor. She kind of gives a wink.
Ah, gives a knowing nod. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I wish you luck on your trek. It is quite dangerous out there.
Thank you.
Any more advice?
Barbaros touches his medallion.
May a spark of inspiration always strike true.
To you as well.
And may the coin you carry appease. the
Did
ferryman.
you have something to say, Kaji? Sorry.
Is there anything more you could give us, or do you think, or do you think Iris is gonna bless this battle?
Well, hopefully you won't have to worry about battle. But if it does come to that, I'm certain that you will be able to handle yourselves quite well. Quite well.
Stomps down a foot. I think I can very well. 3-time champion.
I roll my shoulder. Yeah.
Okay. So, with your antitoxins in hand, do you begin making your way
I do have
towards the
one
woods?
last question for him, actually.
Okay.
The last thing I asked him before we wander off is,
Marcus said that didn't mention your name when he was speaking of herbalists, yet you carry
Well,
herbal remedies.
it's not
Why
so
is
much. It's not so much herbal, my friend. He pulls out an empty vial. This is made of a distillation from a sea serpent.
An alchemist, then.
Guilty as charged.
So why would Marcus not mention you?
He and I are at odds right now. Honestly, he's at odds with a lot of people right now. But he means well.
So he dislikes you more than the man who overcharges him for drinks.
he smiles.
He tolerates me a bit more because I bring in a good hunt every once in a while when I head out to sea.
Oh, I do have a question though, but I think I'll wait because we do have more pressing matters. If we're gonna find Stefanos, I don't want to quite drag our feet a little bit. But when we get back, well, I'd like to talk to you about that commentary on a shark.
That is a tale. But it seems like the sun is starting to reach its zenith. If you wish to make haste, now might be the time.
I agree.
Indeed.
Appreciated.
Okay, so we, guys, as players, we have literally no idea where we're going in the forest still.
Oh,
So, unless we just start like looking for some random
Well-
dude's tracks going into the forest? Question
Well,
mark.
I was going to say perhaps our new friend here might have some ability to see where the last hunting party went. Maybe follow in their footsteps, so to speak.
Well, we will
I
have to
am-
find. We will have to find that out after our break.
hey.
Welcome back. We have returned, and we hope to continue our tale as we find our intrepid adventurers heading once more out of Neolanton towards these southern woods. Let's get some music going. As you head out, you can see the outskirts of the forest are massive. The trees that grow here are firm of root and stand upwards of 20 to 50 feet in some places. It's almost as if they are reaching out intentionally to block the sun. But you can see through them as you can weave in between tree after tree after tree. After about half an hour, the path starts to get a little hoarse as you feel the roots start to kind of eat out of the ground. You can feel vines kind of trudging the forest floor, and as foretold, you start to see these patches of briar vines just crawling across the forest floor in places. They're small at first, barely an inch wide, but some eventually, as you continue further and further in, grow to 3 inches, 5 inches. You see one that's almost as big as your arm, covered in these barbed brambles that just seem to hook out, almost as if they wish to claw at you, though they do not move. Yes, Talia.
As we move, I have a yew leaf pressed in my hand as I am starting to mutter a prayer towards Athreos to start ritually casting Detect Poison and Disease.
Okay. And Callista.
Callista is naturally going to move towards the front and start guiding people along the way, as I have a whole host of things that come with travel.
Okay. Very well.
I would also like to be ritual casting Detect Magic during this time, which Alexian's version of that is in the starscape that is his parts of his body, especially. I'm sure there's a lot of it here. Shadow. Little traceries of stars turn into eyes.
Okay. You cast your spells, letting your almost gifted senses extrude out from you. But during this, Callista, as you are leading the pack, I would like a survival check in order to try and see if you can locate anything.
Could I be up with Callista and maybe try and help them?
Well, you know what
I
say?
was going to say,
Can I get a marching order? So we have Callista and Bavros towards the front.
I call the middle. I'm a
I will-
squishy boy.
Go for it.
I will take the back.
Sherry would probably be in the front since she's more of a hand-to-hand, so she'd be like, let's go, let's rumble.
Okay.
I was going to say I already have advantage to track or humanoids.
I'll be front and middle if that makes sense.
I see.
And that's what we're
That's-
trying to do. How perfect.
I don't know if what we're tracking is a humanoid, but I do have advantage when it comes to that.
Okay.
The front and middle for me.
Roll me a survival check at advantage.
Alrighty. Give me 1 second, as my character sheet is needing time to load.
Ah, yes. The loading.
Dirty 20.
Okay. With a dirty 20, you're taking a surveillance of the landscape before you. You're more used to hunting on the coast, but hunting nonetheless comes quite naturally to you, as you've spent many years out in the prairie with your pride on many a hunt. As you look out, you start to see divots in the ground. And upon closer inspection, you kind of lean down, crouching towards the ground, and they seem to be of a boot heel. And this boot heel is interesting because it's not... Honestly, it's not that terribly old. In fact, it seems like this particular path has been walked through in this exact motion many times over the last relatively close period of time, heading further in past the brambles.
Okay. Have we been traveling for at least an hour?
Not yet. You're approaching 45 minutes.
Okay. Because as a note, once we've been traveling for more than an hour while tracking creatures, I learn their exact number, their size, and how long ago they passed through the area.
Very well. I will let you know when that happens. But you do have a trail.
Question. Are our
Um,
magic spells yielding any results on the brambles? Sorry, I didn't mean...
Okay. Well, Alexian specifically, as you're looking around, there's just this low-lying suffusion of natural energies that permeate this entire forest. You would almost...
School?
You're not... It doesn't really have so much of a school for this. It's just a low-lying natural buildup. You would say...
Is there something I might... Go ahead.
You say that you were probably close to a ley line or anything similar to.
Okay. That doesn't need to check that. Noted. Okay.
As-
Alexian probably vaguely mentioned.
Okay. And as for you, Talia, as you look at the brambles, you can definitely tell these are poisonous. It's a combination contact infusion poison. Honestly, could probably be harvested with a delicate hand if you wanted to try and procure some of it, but you don't know if there will be any after effects as a result. Yes, Callista.
What shoes are my party wearing?
You look back. Two of your companions are hooved, so that's not so much of an issue. Talia appears to be wearing these somewhat fortified sandals.
Do they have a heel?
They do not have a heel, but they have a slightly raised sole, perhaps to, if not for prolonged travel, perhaps for guarding against something. Alexian, on the other hand, he's just wearing travel boots.
I mean, he has specifically, like, whatever boots are normal, them plus, like... So I understood that sandals are pretty normal in this setting, so it would be sandals, and I was very specific about this in all my descriptions. He has, like, leather, like, trapped next to his legs in the straps of the sandal, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, kind of hanging over. There's, like, some shielding. He seems like he's been traveling for a while, specifically dealt with woods.
The reason Callista is looking is that she sees the kind of repeated nature of these steps, and she remembers the stories of people getting lost. Is trying to confirm that it's not our own footsteps that we are walking around in circles in.
Well, you definitely do not see any denigrated paw prints, if that's what you're looking at.
Okay.
No, the size of these footprints and the way that they seem to be regularly trudged does not seem to indicate that it is your party's tracks that you are following. Definitely something or someone else's.
Callista would express this, that I do believe I have found something, someone, or something perhaps has come through here quite often.
Can
Which
you
is
tell how
odd
many?
considering that. Do I know? Does it just seem like one?
It just seems like one. The same
It
footprint.
just seems like one person or thing coming through. That doesn't mean they weren't carrying someone or something, or not everything travels by ground.
So,
Question: the brambles don't seem themselves magical.
no, well, I mean, they're also suffused with that same energy. But no, they are not.
It's everywhere,
magic.
but not specific.
Correct. It's this ever-present aura that just seems to encompass the area.
Okay.
I'm starting to think this bard of yours might come out here more than he might like to admit.
He is quite suspect.
Well,
Alexian, you were
we have a
muttering
trail.
Alexian, you were muttering something about a lay something?
Yes. Have any of you ever heard of a ley line? How much experience have you in the specifics of magic and its workings on our world?
Everyone can either roll me an Arcana or Nature check of your choice.
Shall I go ahead and roll one on account of I don't know what your version of ley lines are?
No, you'll be good.
Okay.
Barbro's got a 10.
Both are not really either, so I'm just gonna roll an Arcana.
Callista is apparently all muscle and no brain, as that is a 3.
But you know
Nature
what's up. You can find it.
Arcana.
I was looking forward to rolling my excellent nature in Arcana. This is
Okay.
I rolled a 15.
Okay. Sherry and Talia, you've heard of ley lines before. Sherry, most likely from your father, as he typically has always said that the best harvest come from those near ley lines. Talia, you have a slightly more book-learned understanding of what it is per se. Basically, the ley lines here in Theros, they're not many, but they seem to be concentrations of divine energy. Could come from any of the gods, to be fair. Could come from Nylia, as seen here. There are volcanoes that produce mounds upon mounds of precious ores and minerals, which are said to be near ley lines that host Percoplos' energies. Even ones that trudge along the coast, acting as a natural safeguard or attracting various fish and other sea creatures that Thassa might deem. They just are these concentrated areas of the god's will.
DM, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, I'm not sure if this is beyond what I already might know, but I'm curious how similar this is to the Nessian Wild, in my experience, or if I would know that.
It's close, but the Nessian Wilds are far more steeped in this level of magic.
And they also have that other thing going.
Yes.
Is that other thing happening here at all?
No. Not in the least.
Noted. Interesting. Noted.
So, are you following the trail? Okay.
I'm following my lioness that seems to know where she's going.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
you follow the trail, and as you do, the brambles start to get thicker and thicker, at some point starting to squeeze in on what little path you're able to follow. I need everyone to roll me a dexterity saving throw, but I also would like to ask if anyone had taken one of the 2 antitoxins before proceeding.
Barbros did not. I figured Alexian would take one. I'm not sure who would have taken the
I
other
don't
one.
think he means bite. I don't think he means carry. I think he means have we imbibed?
Consumed.
Yeah.
Consumed, right.
Oh, to carry.
No. He means imbibed.
To consume, not just to have.
Oh.
So, Alexian might want to, but I don't know. It depends on the conversation because, like, this seems early. Logically, I guess.
I will say that Talia would have taken one of those and immediately palmed it into our tracker's hand.
Okay.
Elixium will yield to whatever everybody else thinks is a good idea here, TBA.
I mean, if we have a healer, the healer should probably not succumb to poison.
Hell yeah.
Would be.
She has
Um,
been.
As I've kept
Oh,
up
really?
detect poison off and on through our journey,
Hmm.
would that allow me to have noticed whatever we're trying to avoid?
It's not so much that you can't notice it because it's right in front of you. It's just very thick terrain. This is to effectively watch your step so you do not end up colliding with some of the brambles. Yes, Callista.
I don't know if this helped, but difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. So I don't know if this technically counts as difficult terrain, but I do have some advantages as a group when dealing with that.
It is considered difficult terrain for the sake of travel, but this in particular, this is just you watching your step. So.
I'm not taking the antitoxin.
And you said dex saves, right?
Yes, deck saves.
Right, DM?
Yes.
I would have not taken. Sorry to interrupt you, Ames. I would not have taken the antitoxin myself because, as a satyr, I do have magic resistance to, well, save advantage on all saving throws against magic effects.
If this
Callisto
were
would have
magical,
taken
that would
it.
be interesting. Okay.
True.
So, you downed one of
Callisto
the
would have
antitoxin.
taken.
Okay.
It does make sense for you to take it because we're lost without you. So, you know.
Then also,
Oh.
I was
Yeah.
asleep and Fae.
I am also very
two-
light-footed, as that is a 22 for my dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
Yeah, the two
So
the two that
we
should
still
have
have
it
one
should probably be
remaining.
Talia and Callista.
Alright, so are we doing dex saving?
Dex
So did I
saves.
take it or not? Is the question.
I figure we save one, and we figure out what. I mean, honestly, okay. Should I talk about this out of character or just?
Well,
you know?
it's more along the lines that we're starting to run low on time. So,
I personally would not have taken it because I would have thrown it into somebody else's hands.
okay. Well, I still need you to roll me a dex save nonetheless.
Okay.
8. Oh god. Oh, it's a bloody 8 on a dex.
Oh, hello, guinea pig.
Let's see who needs the second potion.
Are you a crash test dummy?
A little bit.
It seemed to have
I
rolled
mean,
twice.
Talia might be another crash test dummy.
Yeah, I got a 4.
Okay.
Ignore the other one.
So, as you guys are traveling, Sherry, you kind of stumble, and as you do, you feel one of the things just kind of against you.
Does my
Talia, you straight up step into a bramble patch that just encompasses your foot. As each of you feel this pinprick, it's not painful, but I do need both of you to roll me Constitution saving throws. Talia, if you hadn't drunk the antitoxin, you are at advantage. Sherry, you are not.
wait? But
This is not
Okay.
magic.
oh,
We have done a science, folks. We did it.
I am
Con
Oops.
save advantage?
Yes, con saving throws advantage for you, Talia, against poisons.
Constitution. That's dirty 21. Whew.
Fun fact: I cannot wake you up.
Ah,
So
Huh.
No.
so
That's a
enjoy
9
that.
at advantage.
okay.
Ooh.
So, Talia,
Hmm.
you are not. You're feeling a little drowsy. You're not unconscious, but you are poisoned. As you feel yourself kind of swaying back and forth, and your vision starts to blur. Sherry, nothing seems to happen for you. You seem to be just fine. You're feeling a little wink in your eye, but that's about it.
Wow, that's that. Oh, wait, it kind of hurt a little bit. Everyone else all right?
Turn back. Do I see Talia wavering at all?
It's quite obvious. She does
All right,
seem
I'll
to be.
take it. I'll grab the back of her tunic to sort of steady her and keep her with me. We may have a problem.
It's easier for me to stay in the back.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Kind of wavering. I'd rather, you be up like in the middle at least? So we can
No.
keep an eye-
I will fall back and I'll stay with her,
Alrighty, I'll take
and
my
I'll keep my hand on the back of her tunic to steady her.
Okay.
Good. I'm in the middle of 2 people behind, 2 people in front. Thumbs up. Going well.
So,
Lexian probably, as we continue marching, probably mutters something along the lines of, "You guys should really put leather along the insides of your sandal straps, and this is why." And we'll lecture you nerdily about that as we walk.
so
As he's doing that, she's gonna look at him, look down. I don't think leather and hooves get along well.
Well, not, I suppose, for you.
so,
I'm gonna lean into
Callista's good.
Bavros. Sorry.
No, you're good. Callista was just going to accentuate Cherry's point by flexing toes and claws.
Toe beans,
To the beans.
do the beans.
To the beans.
Talia.
As Alexian is waxing poetic, Talia is essentially just going to lean into Bavros. Is he saying something important?
No,
Okay, good.
it's okay. I got you.
So, after about another 15 or so minutes of travel, eventually the brambles start to give way, and you start to see a clearing up ahead. I have this prepared.
Callista's gonna motion for everyone to be quiet.
As you begin entering, you start to see this particular clearing, though surrounded by the same tall woodwork that you have come across thus far, is far more open. Aside from a series of rocks that seem to have tumbled off from a higher ledge, perhaps off of one of the more hilly areas, you can see that interspersed throughout this are small pools and other bits of rock. But the thing that seems to really catch your attention is that just beyond one of the large rocks in front of you, you see a campsite. And I will bring you over to the map. I'm also going to have to move people around a little bit, so give me one
That's a
second.
very nice map. I like the map.
Thank you, I made it myself. Let me just get to the...
I have discovered the me. Would you like to? Could you put name tags underneath?
For now, aside from the two of you that have some form of artwork, the green one is Alexian, the blue one is Callista, and the red one is Sherry. So, let me move some things around real quick. Gonna put you over here. Gotta put me over here. Got to put Finn over here. Got to put... Okay.
Feels good to be in the middle.
There we go. Almost. So yes, before you, you can see that there appears to be a campsite of some kind. While it does also appear to be more along the lines of an abandoned campsite, there does seem to be some small remains of a smoldering fire towards the center of the camp. What do you wish to do?
Is
Callisto would
the
like-
area-
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
is the area clear of these brambles?
The brambles seem to almost avoid this part of the wood and seem to circle around, kind of encompassing it, perhaps
Don't trust them.
hiding it away.
Callista would like to move carefully and quietly over to the fire to see if she can discern how long ago it might have gone out.
Okay, roll me a stealth check.
Let's hope. Double checking I am not at advantage. Dirty 20.
Okay, you get low to the ground and start beginning to move as you should be able to control your pseudo token for now.
Okay. Boop. Probably snakes around the rock. over to the fire.
Okay. As you get close to the fire, you can see that the coals have long since burned out. There's just a very faint wisp of smoke still coming out. By your best bet, this fire has not been lit for a few days, at the very least.
Could I perception the area get a better idea of what I'm looking for is like more of like something maybe recent movement in the bushes or such or the tree area over there and like over here because I know from the sound of it it looks abandoned, but maybe something could have moved to hide quickly as we were approaching.
Okay. Roll me a perception check.
That is a 21.
21. Okay.
Dirty.
You start to look around, and there's definitely something odd. You're not sure where. You think perhaps a closer look might be able to garner more information.
On guard, not quite. I guess stealthing, I guess, is the better word, but like on guard stealth, that's a thing.
Okay, so like
So-
you draw your spear and just kind of very carefully begin to progress onward.
Yeah, and kind of like look around the area. I'm gonna start heading more towards the tent area, so like around a campfire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
I would
gonna-
like to make sure I'm at the middle of the party at any given time. So, just saying.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna follow, bringing Talia along with me. I imagine she's not causing me to be encumbered or anything, right? So I'm not
No, you're
moving half
just
speed
kind
or
of
anything.
you're kind of just guiding her at the moment, making sure that she doesn't
Okay.
stumble. But,
Okay.
Oh, we're moving. We're moving. Right.
And
Yeah.
you guys can move yourselves
Okay.
as you see fit.
We'll take it easy.
Of course.
Take it easy. I'll move to the rock, and I figured I'd guide her over to right about here.
Okay. Talia,
I would like to keep it. Okay, go ahead.
as you start to get close to the camp, something feels wrong. Not just the poison currently coursing through your veins. Something is very, very wrong here.
We have a problem.
How tall is this rock?
That rock's about 5 feet tall.
I'm gonna climb up on top of it.
Okay.
Alexian whips around to Talia and says,
Kind of see what I can see.
There's the problem.
As you
A
guys
problem.
are looking around, Sherry, you're the first one to catch wind of it. As you start to hear from the bushes and the rocks and the trees around you. And you see, coming out from behind these rocks, creatures that almost seem to look like they are moving parts of the wood themselves. And as they take up, you see them begin to look at you with malice. And that's where we're going to end today's session.
"Oh, good." I was gonna say, passive 16 isn't enough. I guess.
So, looks like y'all are going to have to come back next time to see what happens at the campsite in the southern woods. We hope you all have enjoyed tonight's episode, but there's still more to come. We're going to have to find out, though, next week. So remember, from us to you, keep doing your best, because we certainly will ours. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Be safe.
Good night.
Don't die.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Be